Welcome back to the Midwifery Wisdom YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, hey, we love midwives and we're so happy to support your journey. Today's topic is about midwives and the care and disinfecting and sterilization of instruments. It's a crucial topic. It gets very little attention. And today we're going to do a deep dive. Okay, so if you're a midwife or a student midwife planning to practice, you're going to need to figure out how to sterilize your instruments in an efficient, safe, and easy way so that you can take care of clients efficiently, so that you can have those instruments that you need right when you want to grab them. And today we're going to give you the down low about the differences between sterilization, cleaning, disinfectant. Those all have different definitions. And we're also going to talk about different methods that are available for the community-based midwife. So first off, let's talk about cleaning. Cleaning is the removal of foreign matter. This could be, blood or placenta, amniotic fluid membrane, all the things that your instruments may come in contact. So it's removing that foreign matter and then taking off any visible organic matter. That's what cleaning is. And cleaning is important to happen immediately after you use your instruments, but it does not make those instruments safe for use. It just preserves the life of the instruments until you can disinfect or sterilize them. So for cleaning, you need to use a neutral or near neutral pH solution. This could be any special instrument cleaner products. You can also use dish soap. That's not going to hurt your instruments. But if you start using very alkaline detergents, it can leave surface deposits like brown stains. It can interfere with the smooth operation of a hinge. And you want to use cold water. And I know that sounds like contradictory, but hot water causes those proteins in the blood to coagulate and it makes them actually harder to get off. Use a basic enzymatic detergent or a simple soap, and then dry them thoroughly. And this is the big part about cleaning because wet instruments can rust and then your hinges will be ruined. And also all those rust spots are little spots where the surface is no longer solid, it's porous. And then when porous, then bacteria can get inside. So you want to rinse, wash, and then dry your instruments thoroughly before you put them back in your bag to go back to wherever you sterilize instruments. Disinfection is a process that eliminates the pathogens or the microorganisms, except bacterial spores. So this is an important distinction. Disinfection is actually safe for most midwifery applications. The exception is spores. And the fascinating thing about spores is that they need an anaerobic environment to grow. And so anytime you're using instruments inside a body cavity, like suturing instruments, they need to actually be sterilized. But anytime they're touching surface, they can just be disinfected. So unlike sterilization, disinfection is not sporicidal, right? It doesn't kill the spores. A few do, but only with prolonged exposure. So like, for instance, iodine is a classic disinfectant ingredient, and it's effective at actually killing the spores once the instruments have been left in there for 3 to 24 hours, depending on the concentration. And so that's not really very, it's not effective for midwives who need to have, things in packages on the go. We can't have things sitting and soaking. And that's called a chemical sterilization. You might have seen this in barbershops before. They have all their combs in an alcohol solution. That means that there's no bacteria on it, right? It's a cold liquid chemical sterilization. But that's not really practical for midwives because you can't carry sloppy liquid around, especially not chemical liquid. And you can't pull instruments directly out of a solution and then use them on baby or mom. But what you can do is you can use low-level disinfectants to kill most vegetative bacteria, most fungi, and most viruses in less than 10 minutes. And so you might have been purchasing those Sani-Wipe containers, which have pre-disinfectant loaded cloths, and you're going to wipe down all your equipment, and that kills almost everything. And so it's a great technique to use, but again, knowing that it won't kill bacterial spores. So sterilization describes a process that destroys or eliminates all forms of microbial life and is carried out in all healthcare facilities, and it should be carried out by home health providers as well, in order to create instruments that are totally safe to use in all levels of care. So some of the disinfectant agents that are out there: alcohol, chlorine or chlorine compounds, formaldehyde, hydrogen peroxide, all of the iodine, all the things in the iodine category. There are OPAs, pyritic acid, phenolics, and then some ammonia compounds. Non-critical items, things that are never going to come in contact with broken skin or mucous membrane. They're just going to be touching solid skin. Those are non-critical items. Think your blood pressure cuff. They really don't need much cleaning. They certainly don't need sterilization. Disinfectants is also not even probably super necessary because they're not touching touching broken skin. But definitely, if you do have someone who's ill, if the blood pressure cuff ended up in the bed when there were bloody fluids on there, something like that, you have a totally different story. But essentially, going from prenatal to prenatal, it's totally fine to just use your blood pressure cuff. And in fact, you see this in mainstream medicine as well, right? People go in and out of the doctor's office and they use the same blood pressure cuff because it's a non-critical item. But anytime you have a product, an instrument, a tool coming in contact with the mucous membrane or non-intact skin, broken skin, then they need to be free of all microorganisms. But the bacterial spores are permissible because, again, the bacterial spores can't really replicate very well unless they're in an anaerobic environment, unless they're sealed in. Semi-critical items are all the things that go touching mucous membrane or touching potentially broken skin. I consider your neonatal stethoscope in this category. A laryngoscope would be in this category. You need to disinfect carefully, but they don't need to be sterilized. The critical items that deal with the potential for infection and that come in contact with internal tissues, with the vascular system, these need complete sterilization. They need to be prioritized above all else. Your birth instruments actually can be disinfected because they're not touching internal tissues, but your suture instruments need to be fully sterilized. So just to put that in perspective, there's been a lot of myths out there and there's been a lot of controversy around what's okay, what's not okay. And I've heard midwives really in the hot seat about reusing instruments, not sterilizing them. And I just want to say, there's a lot of myths out there. The bottom line is, if the tool that you're using to touch somebody's mucous membrane or intact or broken tissue has been sterilized, it's perfectly fine. If you're touching broken skin, mucous membrane, then it needs to be disinfected. That's also totally acceptable. And obviously, cleaning is simply to remove visible debris so that your equipment doesn't rust. It's not cleaning. It would only be appropriate for prenatal office, not for birth instruments. We're going to do a part 2 on the different sterilization techniques. So definitely check back in. And midwives, as always, please take as good a care of yourself as you take of your clients. We desperately need you. The world is critically short on midwives, so we can't lose you to burnout or exhaustion. We need you to up your self-care game. Check out all of our services on our website, midwiferywisdom.com. Come follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. And then we have a couple amazing retreats coming up. So if you want to know more about how to up your self-care game, you need to join us for a retreat. We're going to be in Italy in May. We're going to be in Denver, Colorado, actually up in the mountains in November of 23. And then we're going on a really incredible 10-day road trip in southern India in January of 24. So check all that out on our website, midwiferywisdom.com. Follow us on social media. Take good care of yourselves. This is where it's at. All right, everyone, have a great day.